Welcome to the House of Maths. Today we're looking at equations of a straight line, and in particular we're going to draw a graph using a table. So sometimes you can get asked to draw a graph. Could be an exam question, and you're given the equation of a straight line like this, and you've got to draw on a piece of graph paper this line. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? Well, before I start, let's have a look at what we've got here. Now, in general, the equation of a straight line looks like this. This is one that you're going to have to remember. Y equals mx plus c. That's the equation of a straight line. What does it mean? Well, the y is just a y coordinate, and the x is just an x coordinate. Coordinates from a coordinate grid. The m is the gradient. Okay, the gradient is how steep the line is. And the c is the intercept on the y-axis. So if you had a line, I'm just going to very quickly produce one here. I've got a straight line there. Okay, so it has, if I put my pen anywhere on that line, say here, draw a point there, that has an x coordinate and a y coordinate. Okay, that'll be the x and the y coordinates. Here, the line intercepts the y-axis. So that could be, let's just say it's -2. Okay, so I've got plus c here because this is just the general form. That could be a minus if you wanted to. In the case of this line, it is going to be a minus. So we're going to have a -2 at the end of this line. We're going to have an x, we're going to have a y. But how do we get this m bit? The m bit is the gradient, it's the steepness of the line. And we get that by drawing on our line, we are going to draw a right angled triangle on it, and we're going to look at the increase in y over the increase in x. So our gradient m is the increase in y divided by the increase in x. Now I'll look at this in a little bit more detail in a forthcoming video, but that's just how that's a very quick explanation of how you're going to get the gradient. But it's possible to do it. It's possible to do it if you've got a graph like this on a piece of graph paper. It's also possible to do it if you've just got two coordinates, but we'll look at that later. So this is going to give us how steep this line is. In other words, it's going to give us the m value. Now let's just say that happens to be 3. Okay, so we end up with this line here, 3x minus 2, which is going to look something a little bit like that. But let's see how we would actually plot this. So at least you understand now, y equals mx plus c, that's the equation of a straight line. The m is the gradient, the c is the intercept. Well, here on our equation, we've got a gradient of 3 and an intercept of -2. How would we plot that on a graph? I've just randomly sketched that one there, remember? So what we need in order to do this, we need some coordinates. Now, the easiest way to do this, and quite often, if this was appearing as an exam question, you'd probably be given a table with some values already in there, and you'd be asked to fill in some more to get you the coordinates. Well, let's say x and y. I'm just going to have Okay, I'm just making those values up, it doesn't matter. So I've got these x values and I want to find some corresponding y values to go with it so I can plot them on a coordinate grid. So all I'm going to do is I'm taking this value -3 and I'm putting it where I see x because that's the x value. So I'm going to put -3 in there. If I do that, I've got 3 times -3, which is -9. Take 2, gives me -11 in there. Then I'm going to put -2 in next. 3 times -2 is -6. -2 is -8. Then I'm going to put -1 in there. 3 times -1 is -3. -2 is -5. Is that right? Then we're going to put 0 in there. So that's going to just give us -2. And you should notice at this point, it's going down in 3s each time, isn't it? So you know that's going to be 1, 4, and 7. Okay, if I just check if I put 3 in there, 3 times 3 is 9, take 2 is 7. Okay, so that's the pattern. So we've now got some coordinates, so we can plot those onto our graph paper. So if we have our x values, and we have to go, if you look at our y, got to go from -11 to 7. So I'm not giving myself a lot of space to do that. Okay, so -2. And okay, so that's roughly what the graph, that's what the axes need to go from. So I do -3, -11, so -3, -11 down there, -2, -8, -2, -8 is there, -1, -5 is there, 0, -2 is there, 1, 1 there, 2, 4 there, 3, 7 there, and there is your straight line that we plotted using these coordinates. Now, if you'd found, for example, so I'd made a bit of a mistake and I'd made that 9. So you do 3 along and 9 up, and you'd see that, ooh, this looks way off. So you can, go back, check your work, and you'll probably find that that one there is wrong. Go back and look at it again, and you find, it should have been 7, so it would be on that line. Okay, so you need to recognize that this is a straight line. So when you plot the points, you should get a straight line. If you don't get a straight line, then you need to look at the points that are not following the pattern and check them out to make sure you get it correct. Okay, so if you want to plot a graph, come up with some x values, plug the x values into the equation to generate your y values, plot the points on a coordinate grid, and you should end up with a straight line. Notice that the straight line obviously passes through -2, and that steepness is going to be a gradient of 3. So there it is. That's how you would plot that line. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the like button and think about subscribing. More later.